Okay. Yeah. Anyways, as I was just saying, and as I'm happy to repeat here for the content, just about to watch now one of the TheKultureDotTV videos that they just put out, a 20-minute clip here on TikTok diplomacy. We'll do a little bit of React content with this. Only 6 likes. Only 6 likes. This is a really great channel, and deserves a ton of attention. I'm here sort of boosting it as best I can, but definitely subscribe and like TheKulture.tv. They stream live here on the Twitch.tv, and they're posting clips on YouTube. Check it out. Yeah. Hi, YouTube. Everyone say hi to YouTube.
Bit.
Chat, live chat, say hi to YouTube.
I mean, it's pretty serious, but it's like maybe slightly, like a little bit more lighthearted.
And as I was saying, Amanda's gonna sort of do her piece, and then they're all gonna be chiming in. But this is sort of like Amanda's piece. This is a clip from their show from March 14th. March 14th. Oh, Amanda and the Culture discuss Tumblr refugees transposing their interpersonal dynamics onto geopolitical conflicts like Russia and Ukraine. This is still relevant, even though it's just a month old.
It's pretty funny. Honestly, as serious as it is, it's very funny.
Friend of the show, Stu.
Okay, so we've criticized this on the show before, but we've criticized this kind of like idealist, non-materialist analysis that the Russia-Ukraine war, like people are like fitting this into, right? One manifestation of this like idealist analysis that I keep seeing is this talking point that Ukraine can't have a Nazi problem. Zelensky is Jewish and has family killed in the Holocaust. Like, how many times have you heard that talking point verbatim? And what a lot of people don't realize is that, like, at that level of power, ideology matters very little, right? What they are concerned about at that level of power is material interest and like maintaining that material interest. And if you understand that, you can understand how Zelensky has like aligned himself with the far right. And you can understand how one of his biggest funders, the billionaire oligarch Igor Kolomoisky, is also one of the biggest bankrollers of the Azov battalion. And so Americans always want to assign a kind of moral quality or judgment to these kinds of political situations.
By the way, the Azov battalion, I'm sure if you're watching my live stream, you know. And possibly if you're watching the YouTube, you know, they're Nazis. They're like literally, like best case scenario neo-Nazis. Well, you know, worst case scenario, Nazis.
And it leads them to frame politics in this like very shallow good versus evil way, which is a very comic book understanding of the world, right? And, geopolitics is not about morality or who's good or who's bad. Geopolitics is about like the control of resources and state security and protection of like material interest. Yeah. And from this like point of view of real material conditions, the enemies of the United States have nothing to do with ideology and everything to do with like opposing these material gains and interests of the US. And this is how countries like Cuba and China are aligned with like...
Ross, is this you in the ICO concern emote? Who is that? Is that you?
Like, these like non-socialist countries like Russia and Iran, not because they have a shared ideology of any kind, but because they share a common enemy and a common material interest in opposing the US.
Yeah, like base states are not moral entities, yes. And base anti-Americanism does not always mean we're getting like workers' movements and anti-imperialism out of it. And anti-Americanism manifests throughout the world in a lot of different ways. And a lot of times it'll be like, oh, heartbreaking, the worst person you know just made a great point. Like that sort of thing when it comes to certain states and certain movements. But yeah, so just want to, because there's a tendency.
It does, and some of my segment is making that argument, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah. I just mean that there's like a reflexive tendency to back anyone opposed to the US with no other knowledge and no care to investigate, which obviously poses a problem if you want to do like serious analysis of stuff.
and like with the Zelensky thing, multiple things can be true. He can be Jewish and have like family that died in the Holocaust and oppose Nazis. He can also be the president of a country that kind of needs that far right segment to maintain control, which he found out when he became president, when he tried to oppose Azov Battalion, and they kind of rebuffed him, and he sort of had to make a compromise. I don't think Zelensky likes Azov Battalion, but I think he's made a kind of sort of compromise for like the security and sovereignty of the nation.
Yeah.
I mean, look how liberals analyze the world. As soon as Trump...
That's the biggest red flag of all, y'all. If you look at Nazis and they're not an existential threat to you, then you're doing something wrong.
Trump lost presidency, they thought white supremacy ended, right? Like they think the leader of the leader of a country is what's dictating the entire political movement inside the country.
Well, and to pause even more here, if Nazis are not an existential threat to you, you might be a Nazi.
Yeah. It's incredible to me how quickly people got wrapped up in the boohoo Ukraine propaganda shit. Not out of any genuine concern for people suffering, but because gas is expensive now. And I see people talking about, like, there's literal Facebook frames I see friends of mine using.
Despite this being a month old, this is still quite relevant, isn't it?
That are like, I paid more at the pump, but I did it for the citizens of Ukraine. Who's with me? Yeah, straight up.
Yeah, well, you have you have people like George Takei going like, we can all afford to pay a little extra at the It's like, who's we? Who's we, my man? It's like a lot to fill up my tank right now.
I've been going back and forth to home for like medical stuff recently, and so I see my dad doing like the dad stance in front of the TV. Like, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like all dads like to stand menacingly.
Fingers through the belt hoops.
Yes. He's just like stanced up watching Fox News every single day. And so I caught him at the beginning when the war broke out, and he was, like, oh, this. He's like suddenly, my dad doesn't know shit about geopolitics or anything, but suddenly he's so invested in this, right? And he's like, man, I can't believe this, blah, 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 blah.
I love the story.
But then when it came to gas prices going higher and Biden's gonna like saying like, oh, we're not gonna buy oil from Russia anymore, then he was pissed. And I was like, oh, okay, so we were boo-hooing in this house about Ukraine, but then up until the point that you were able to still maintain like your quality of life. But then when it started to affect you, it was like, fuck yeah, Russia. Yeah, we love Russia.
Did you see Tucker Carlson's like monologue on this whole topic?
I did not. I literally cannot be on the same floor in my house if Tucker is on.
Honestly, it was good. Like if you were to...
She's got banger fucking analysis on Tucker coming up here.
To transcribe what he said and remove his name, you would think a communist is speaking.
I watched it.
He does
Mike boy, welcome in. Good morning. How you doing, buddy? Love your face.
Sometimes because Tucker is the heir to the Swanson, Swanson or Birdseye or something. That's what his wife is. He's like pedigreed, groomed, possibly CIA, but like his only purpose with his show is to skew the narrative and divert it into different places. So sometimes, yes, he will make the conversation about class or U.S. militarism, and literally sometimes within the same show, he will then flip and say, oh, it's because the military is too woke, or we're teaching CRT in our schools, or there's like too many trans people or something.
He always has the wrong analysis, but the facts he laid out.
Yeah, it's not sincerely held. It's purely just to distract people away from some larger point.
The Little Lord Swanson family dinner, Fauntleroy.
Yeah. Okay, so
that's pretty good analysis on Tucker Carlson right there. I think that's the shit. 5 out of 5.
Back to
Sorry. Amanda has a whole segment.
Yeah.
Going
What's up, Rad Left Dad? Welcome in. How you doing today?
Back to this propaganda. Another manifestation of this like idealist understanding of the world that I've seen, which is so totally ridiculous, is that now people will try to transpose these kinds of interpersonal dynamics onto this complex geopolitical situation of Ukraine and Russia. And this has spawned what I call the Putin is an abuser discourse. And
worst takes.
I'm sure
kill of Vladimir Putin.
You've seen him.
and I'm sure you've seen it. There have been, I don't know, like one Gen Z, like kind of oriented think tank spawned this, but Stu, if you want to pull up like the first tweet in that base camp under this,
Absolutely.
we've been sort of bombarded with like these kinds of tweets, like all the leftist men talking about how Ukraine and NATO provoked Putin are really sending up red flags about how they behave in relationships. And then I've also, every time I try to kind of...
Can people just stop making dumb shit about themselves? Challenge?
Contextualize the war in Ukraine by saying that, NATO has a central role in this too. They, despite people's warnings, decided to expand eastward for 30 years, like right up to Russia's border, and Ukraine is the last buffer there. And, not justifying the invasion in any way, but most countries would have responded the same. And then people will say, oh, so that's like saying like he had a right to hit her because like so and so reason, like as if they're trying.
Actually, you do got a good point here, Dogface. The war's just like that time a guy didn't call me back. I hate when that happens. Putin's just like that guy. Hate that guy.
To like bring this, they try to like turn Putin into
in fairness, this has kind of always been sort of like the way you describe, like this is the like the motherland. We're like they're raping and pillaging, like you like,
that
they're the male aggressor doing the invasion, and we must stand up to protect the country that is the woman we have sex with. It's this weird, like, it's we want to say it's this new Zoomer, but it's kind of always really been there.
That's a good point.
The term, it's just the terminology is very, very obviously Zoomer in this
That's
sort of
true.
stuff.
That argument has always existed in like kind of academic circles, and now it's just been kind of like reframed to make it more digestible to Zoomers and like the Tumblr generation.
Yeah, we're rather, it's like, it's not like the motherland, but it's more, even more interpersonal in the sexual thinking of war, where it's like this is a rape, and that she's being our virginal motherland is being savaged by these now they're literally doing like these are the Mongol hordes, like Russia's like Asian now, which I've seen a lot recently, which is wild.
It always has been to the West.
I've never heard that. That's new. That was I've
like
never heard
Slavic
Russia
people.
Asian
Slavic people
before.
Are brutes and like.
So I thought this was kind of confined within the boundaries of Twitter, but then about a week ago I saw this article, a long form article written in white feminist liberal magazine Ms. Magazine, and the headline to this is "Rape Rhetoric and Russia's War on Ukraine." So someone like wrote an entire article with this kind of analysis, and it says, as in the case of many an abusive ex-partner, Putin has threateningly hovered and glowered over Ukraine since the country declared itself independent in 1991.
Oh my God. Just bail. Just bail, all right? Do not read the rest of this article.
And after years of tension, taking every opportunity to test its borders, mischaracterize its history, and malign its character, Putin finally struck out in violent revenge for his humiliating loss by invading Ukraine this week, determined to take back by force what he has asserted is rightfully his. This playbook of bullying and domination is well known to those who study sexual and interpersonal violence, with parallels both implicit and explicit. For years, witnesses have stood on the sidelines while Putin raged and menaced. And then it goes on to say, the psychological manipulation attendant to such claims by the powerful epitomizes the proverbial addition of insult to injury, contributing to the further marginalization of victims by casting doubt on their credibility. So this is like Putin is a gaslighter, right?
Oh my God.
Oppressors.
Sorry.
Oppressors fear the loss of partners whose behavior they have sought to control, and Ukraine's drift towards the West out of the Kremlin's orbit resulted.
It's just like trying to dumb down geopolitics for like an audience that doesn't understand it, I guess, by trying to speak in their language, in the language of relationships, I guess. What is it, right? But they don't understand. But by doing so, they demonstrate that they themselves don't understand geopolitics.
In a punishing response that is not unexpected in such power relationships, whether between countries or domestic partners.
Is that it?
The exercise of agency, there it is again, on the part of the formerly subjugated is infuriating.
What does this say? Oh, they post the link.
To the abuser, who may react with murderous rage.
The notion, oh my God, the agency just sets me off, because anytime you see that being used in like popular media like this, it's 100% ignoring the fact that
agency.
Like, and I know that I get a lot of shit for like people interpret things that I say as like the United States like is like the arbiter of everything and they're the god of the world and everything just follows in line with what the US wants. That's not how the world works, but at the same time, the use of agency in these types of discussions is very shallow, because like, yes, the United States like shapes like some of the larger geopolitical like machinations that are at play here, and fundamentally like deprives all these different actors of their agency, whether it be Russia or Ukraine. Like there are larger things at play than just like the individual will of nations, because no nation exists in a vacuum, and no nation can take, grand military action without the US having something to say about it. But like, yeah, this and it also has a lot to do with this like rape rhetoric, has a lot to do with like the Pussy Riot stuff and like third wave feminism in Russia, where like people,
I was waiting for Haley to stop talking so I could make that.
I'm never gonna stop talking.
No, it's about to get even more cursed. Mm-hmm. Wait till you see how this is interpreted on TikTok.
Oh, yeah, I can't do this. I can't do this today.
This is
we're gonna have to do this
for the girls.
This is for the culture.
I'm telling you, TikTok. Well, it's just the worst.
Girlies.
Hey besties, this is why we should move Moscow.
No sound. Oh yeah, I understand. Yeah, because I didn't do it right. I was so I could make
not the TikToks.
Change easier.
Make sure you subscribe to my TikTok.
1 second.
Then you'll get good TikTok content
thinks that
on your
Russia
timeline.
Is a sovereign state, kind of cringe.
Listen up, girlies. I'm going to try my best to explain the Russian-Ukraine conflict to you for us. So back in the 90s, Russia and Ukraine used to be a thing, but things got really messy and they broke up.
For Ukraine by us.
You'll never find a man like me. And Ukraine was like, all right. And then years later, it turns out Ukraine is thriving and living her best life.
No.
So then a group of besties called NATO was like, hey, Ukraine, if you kick it with us, we'll all protect each other from war. And Ukraine's like, okay. And then Russia's all like, no, these girls are toxic. They promised never to get in between me and my girl. Ukraine's like, whoa, chill out. I'm literally not your girl. Like, moveon.com. Russia's like, whoa,
oh my God.
Aggressive. And Ukraine's like, I'm literally not. So Russia's like, if you and your girls mess with me and my boys are going to mess with you.
I would see, but again,
she's a comedian? A comedian? They do comedy? Interrupting my jokes for a public service announcement. Oh my God. Ooh. She's not a comedian. What do you mean? That was awful. Oh my Lord. Okay, watching on. This is incredible. I've got just nothing to say.
Like NATO, they're girls.
Besties.
So it's literally female NATO. Holy shit, Clueless. Clueless is an oracle. Clueless on VHS, shout out. But this is literally female NATO.
I think that was my sleeper agent activation.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Your Manchurian
I can't deal with
sleeper
it.
Code.
Wait.
Did you see the psychotic look in her face at the very last 2 seconds?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Wait. Let's play the Ukraine is a submissive bottom, Russia is a dom top video.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, let's make it
I
stop.
think we've seen this one.
Around the table,
Hey, guys.
I know I have.
These gays have no idea what's going on. So I'm like, how can I explain this?
Hey,
to them
Ghostly,
in a way that
welcome
they'll
in.
understand?
Why do they need to know? Why do the gays like let them be
Ukraine
in bliss? And
is a
if they
submissive
don't
ball.
know, let them be.
Russia is a dom top. They have been in a complicated relationship with each other for a long time, until Ukraine decided that she wanted to be a strong, independent woman, and she left Russia behind in 1991. Okay, that was 30 years ago. Since then, she is doing everything that she can to better herself and be independent, and is trying to join and really wants to be a part of the plastics, right? So
my
the
God.
plastics being NATO. Now, not anybody can just
Oh my
join
God.
the plastics. I mean, you can't just sit with us. You actually have to go through a lot, and all countries have to unanimously decide that they want to allow Ukraine to join NATO, which they have been trying to do. And I think they're actually supposed to join in 2024. But Russia knows what is happening. So they're like, bitch, you can't leave me and then go join this group and live out your life. Like, I want you back. So that is why the war started, right? So what's going on in the United States and why is our gas prices so high? Well, the only thing that we
Again,
can
Russia's a
really
she
do
in this
without
analogy.
actually stepping foot on Russian soil is to put sanctions against them, because
NATO
we
is
don't feel like
molecule.
they should be making profit and money off of us, you know, while they're invading Ukraine. Now, that has led to the increase in gas prices. Now, we only get like 8% of our oil and natural gas from Russia, which doesn't seem like a lot, but 8 to 10 inches is a pretty good amount. So
Ugh.
yes, that is going to lead to the increase in gas prices by about 50%, 50 cents per gallon. You know, but I'm okay with that. Like, I'm over here chilling. I'm like, I'll pay a little bit more for gas. I'll pay a little bit more for my unlimited mimosas than have rockets blasting through our apartments and people dying in the
Yeah, it'll just be more for
I mean,
mimosas.
let's think about that.
He deserves a little
Now,
bit of
we're
that.
doing everything that
Wow.
we can to help them, but this complicated relationship is
Wow.
really between Russia and Ukraine. Like, other countries have sent military support and over into Ukraine.
I just want to
Ay, 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 ay.
like he made that a comparison between the how much oil you get and dick length, but implied in that is that there is a 92-inch penis somewhere out there, or an aggregate of a 92-inch penis. Like Saudi Arabia's penis is like, it's inhuman. It's a deadly weapon.
Pause.
I mean, just in that analogy.
Why you got to focus on that?
I mean, because it was all I could think about as soon as he made that analogy.
Pause.
Big oily.
Actually
dick.
stepped away. What happened there?
So the talent show from Mean Girls in this analogy would be like Operation Gladio or something. Right? Am I following this correctly? I think my brain is melting.
It's in there somewhere. Nice. All right. Again, that's TheKulture.TV. Big fans of them. Big fans of them. Any last takes on them? You cannot give up TikTok. You cannot give up, like, these platforms. We can't cede that ground to them, to the people who are only spreading misinformation, disinformation, people who've got no fucking theory, people who try to explain geopolitics via relationship, like language that you would find in relationship columns. I don't know. We can't let them have the whole thing. Yeah. Rad Left Ed, stop trying to make fetch happen. You're not going to make fetch happen. TheKulture.TV, good. Every single person they checked out were awful. Exactly. Big fans of them. Hoping to see them hit it big time. Top of the hour ad break. Love your face. Well, top of the hour shill break. Please help me keep this stream alive. Replay viewers, live viewers, you can subscribe to the channel here on Twitch for about $5 a month. You can also subscribe on Patreon for $3 a month. And what'll happen is you'll get early access to all of my leftist and chill formal interviews. And you help me keep this stream alive. Okay? You can do a one-time tip, command tip. You can buy merch. You could give me a couple biddies. Every biddy counts. And again, it's very, very helpful for me. I'll be honest. It would really mean a lot. The line here on Twitch, it hasn't been this low in a long time. So would really do appreciate that support. Again, great place to do that is on Patreon. All right. That's the clip. Fade to black. Support on Patreon. Love your face.